You should get a job. I tried that.
Fuck you, right on his. Do you mean I'm some kind of cross dresser? Welcome to Trees in Space. I'm Nate, and with me, as always, is Jason. And this week we reviewed the 1998 comedy drama SLC Punk. Now, this movie may have lacked in comedy, but boy, did it make up for in drama. Jason, what were your initial thoughts on SLC Punk?
My initial thoughts, like when you first said we wanted to watch it, or like the first 2 minutes, or once I figured out what it was about. What point?
You watched the movie. I mean, what else, what the fuck do you think I'm talking about?
Well, that's at the end of that's the end of our show that I tell you that. Not my initial ones, but I'm not a punk movie person and stuff, and for me, punkers have always been, and this is set in the 80s, skateboarders. That's what a punk was. Somebody skateboarder. So my question for you, and why I want you to tell our audience why you chose this movie for us to watch. What was in your brain to do? You know what? I want to watch this movie from 30 years ago that it should be a good pick.
I remembered I liked it. So I saw it probably right around the time it came out. Probably after 3 years of it coming out.
So you're like 12.
Came out in 98.
And you were born when?
86.
Okay, so 12.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go to high school. So
I can see why this movie would be very intriguing for you at that age.
Now, man, so essentially this movie focuses around Steve-O, right? And his friend Heroin Bob, who, lo and behold, got the nickname because he hates needles. And the whole punk rock scene of Salt Lake City, Utah, and what it's like to kind of grow up in the amazing state of Utah, and how, if you party and you want good beer, you got to go up over to Wyoming.
And us in Florida understand that if you want good fireworks, you have to go up there to Alabama. So I don't know if that's the same thing or not.
I mean, if we want fireworks in general, we have to go up one state.
If you want menthol cigarettes, you have to go up one state now.
That's true. Yes, if you want any type of flavored tobacco, yeah.
As far as this film goes, my whole mind about this thing is, there's too much narration. It's
like watching a Kevin Smith film almost.
It's a fourth wall break, like wet dream. Where it's like, is he telling a story from the end? You don't know what happens at the end, but there's something happening at the end where it's like almost like he would be telling this story in front of a bunch of people because they're all at a certain event. Because, if that would have happened, that would have made sense, but that didn't happen. So I just thought it was too much narration, way too much narration. There are parts of this movie that I really appreciated, and this is the weird thing. This is not going to influence my rating. From beginning to the end of this movie, parts I liked, but I was hating this thing all the way through. All the way through until it was over. And now that it's over and I've seen this, I don't hate this movie. I don't know what happened from the time it was over. I actually got it all in my head, stupid, over. That's a pretty good movie.
It really isn't a bad movie. It's like you said, it's very hard set into narration. Matthew Lillard is the star of this movie. He narrates the whole thing. It's from his perspective. It's like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off meets, Salt Lake City, Utah punks. And I think what's interesting about this movie is it definitely, I don't know about you, but I had the rebellious phase or whatever, but not like this hardcore. But I think there's
I don't
always
think I
comes a
did.
point, no, where you're just
Mm.
like, yo, fuck. Yeah, you're not cool, Dad. You're a fucking poser,
Right, the Anarchy.
man.
They're all
Like,
about
yeah.
Anarchy, which
Like, what do you know, man? And it's like, now that I'm in my late 30s, it's like, he was right.
he was right, and I mean, I wrote a few things down because I didn't want to forget them, like we started to do. I will say my favorite scene was at the beginning when he was in. It was a 4-year flashback, and he's in the living room with his parents.
Right.
That scene by all the actors, the 3 actors, phenomenal. They all did a great job. Shooter McGavin is the father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who the mother is. They're not married anymore.
I forgot he was in that movie. Same with Jason Segel.
Right, but it wasn't like the father was a dick to the son. He was understanding. He was, and neither was the mother. It was just a very good conversation when after he said you go to Harvard or whatever,
yeah.
and Steve-O said, no, I'm 18 years old. I can finally say fuck you and say all that stuff, and they just let him do his thing. And I was like, that's supportive parents, but that's parents wanting certain things for their kid, with the kid fighting against it for no good reason except that he wanted anarchy. And one of my favorite quotes when he went to leave, Shooter McGavin said this. Remember, I didn't sell out. I bought in.
What's funny is I wrote, I didn't sell out. I bought in on my little piece of paper here.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was like, that is brilliant. You don't sell out. You just buy in. Like, it's true.
It's a beautiful quote. I wish I would have saw it back in '98 when the movie came out, because I would be using that shit my whole life. But what he used to.
Now, what did you think of the way this movie was directed? Right, it seemed it told a whole lot of story in a very small amount of time, but it still felt like it was still a half an hour too long.
I think the director didn't know how to direct. I think they were just trying things out. I think they were brand new at doing a movie, similar to us in the very first time we did our podcast. Hey, we figured out we know what we need. We do it this way. Oh, it's probably not that easy. So I did not like the direction at all. Really, there really wasn't much directing. It was basically, it's an audio book. You do not have to have a video of this at all. You could just close your eyes, listen to the whole movie, and you'd get the same experience.
Now, what about Heroin Bob? I brought up Heroin Bob to you before when I was like, all right, we're going to do SLC Punk. It revolves around this guy. There's a guy named Heroin Bob. And
he was probably my... I think he was like my second favorite character. He has a very Taxi Driver look. You've ever seen the movie Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro? That's all he is, and that's what Robert De Niro was. Taxi Driver was all about anarchy. Same jacket, same hair, everything. About the same hair. Anyways, and he was confused like everyone else, and I like the character. I like the idea behind him. I like how he got mad at the beginning when he was going to give a shot to help his hand. He won't go to the doctor. That was funny. He passes out.
He's after him.
And they just pick him up and they carry him out the damn store because he's all having an infection. But my favorite character is the girl that he worshipped. Can't remember her name, but she had the silver hair.
Yeah.
The actress's name is Geist. Or Gist, G-I-S-T.
Yeah, her name totally escapes me.
Me too, but
Trish.
Trish, maybe. I love her. So.
I liked the friend. I thought she was absolutely adorable. Trish's friend, Barbara.
Which one at the very end?
Yeah.
Brandy with the mustache.
I was upset that she wasn't with Steve-O at the very end of the movie.
I was wondering about that myself, but obviously they ended up not being together, I'm going to guess.
Or they just didn't think of it or something. It was just like, I don't know. It was weird. It was a very weird like choice not to include this person for whom he's like in love with.
A moment, smiled, and it was over. I was in love.
Yeah.
I love the journey, seriously, of Steve-O from the anarchist to who he became and what had to happen for that to happen. It was a good storyline. And I think what really changed mostly was not the very end, but when he walked in on his girlfriend, because it's not your girlfriend, it's just your turn. And it was okay when he did that to Heroin Bob, because she was with Heroin Bob
last week. Yeah.
Yes, but not after that experience they had together, getting high, I guess, in the woods or whatever.
Yeah,
that was just so. And the guy he beat up, the guy that wasn't his friend that was in the car with him driving to Wyoming, was it? The guy that thought was gay. I did like that scene. Imagine getting your ass kicked for being gay, so you're getting all the ass beaten, but none of the benefits of being gay.
I liked it when Bob went to go visit the dude that got massive overdosed in acid. He's like, "Are you Jesus? Are you him?" And he's like, "I am." Why do you ask?
You know what? I totally forgot. I even wrote it down. I wrote his name down. Devon Sawa. He played in all the the very first Terminal movies. The plane crash and he sees it. Final Destination movie. That was him.
Yeah, he was in Idle Hands too.
Yes, he was. He was also Casper in Casper movie. Okay, he was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah,
hands down. He's so good at what he did, especially when he was Beggar Steve or Beggar John or whatever his name was. He became a beggar. What do you do now? I'm a beggar. It's like, that's what I do. You should get a job. I tried that.
Fuck you, right on his. Do you mean I'm some kind of cross-dresser?
I don't want this job.
If I had a job in retail, I wouldn't be here.
Those parts were very, and you mentioned him before, to me, was very Kevin Smith-esque type.
Yeah.
And those parts, certain scenes saved this movie from being total trash heap, I thought.
So I've seen this, I think this is probably my second or third time actually watching this movie. I feel like I've watched it twice. It's probably my third time. And what brought me to think about it, I was like looking up popular films, right? I was trying to figure it out and I was like, SLC Punk. I'm like, that's a cult film and a half.
It is, and there's a part 2 apparently.
Yeah, I saw that afterwards and I don't have any interest in seeing the second part.
As they're driving the van, leaving after near the end, before they go to the party, I think it is, before he takes the vitamins. Yeah, I saw that coming when he goes, these are vitamins. I knew they weren't vitamins. You just sensed something like that was going to happen. You sensed, okay, someone has to not be here. And but they were talking, and someone said, I think it was Steve-O said, I'm sorry. Or the other one said they were saying sorry to each other. And I'm like, what kind of anarchist says they're sorry? I mean, anarchy is like everything's gone crazy. Like, you know, there's no such thing as anarchy. It really can't be, not in reality. Exactly. And that's what this movie's about. But who says they're sorry? You know, if you're a true anarchist. And I'm like over talking to you about this movie.
I do want to say that Matthew Lillard, Steve-O, did extremely well when he found out, like he goes downstairs, 3:00 in the afternoon, and Bob is no longer there.
No, it was.
And that just breakdown, that messy, just snotty cry, like you go through all the signs of grief right there, pretty much all at one moment. It was beautiful.
It was a very good acting part in his, but I also can't help seeing that, but also seeing him in Scream. I'm getting woozy here, man. I can see the same expression, the same actor, or whatever. I mean, not that much different. He was completely different in Up the Creek.
Without a Paddle.
Yes, Without a Paddle. Yes, great movie. So, but that scene shows he can act, and he was slobbering. The things he was saying, it was like You ain't supposed to fucking die, man. I got no friend. I mean, he was, dude.
He went.
I'm chilling up from hearing that stuff, man. It's just, it was, yeah.
Well, you all heard what we thought about this movie. Let's go ahead and get into the 5-star and 1-star reviews. To kick it off, this first 5-star review comes from an unknown, and it is, I thought it was very entertaining, but that's only one opinion. I believe the story was very true and honest.
I wasn't in the Utah in '85 when this is set. I have no idea how bad Utah was or wasn't. I don't like the way they talked about rednecks and stuff like that, but or Hicks.
The pecking order was great.
Yeah, I did like the fighting. They fought this boom, boom, boom. And the point of the movie, I should have said this before we got to the reviews. Brandy says it, or her girlfriend says it. He says it. What's the point? Well, he says it when he's talking about everybody fighting and all stuff. What's the point? None. Same thing with that movie. What's the point? There's no point to this movie. That's the whole point of the movie. There's no point. And when she says, when they're getting high or whatever, the nuclear explosion happens or whatever in her mind, and she says, the end is, beauty is the end, or whatever she said. And I'm like, yeah, because this movie's over. It's beautiful. Sorry, I'll cut that. Okay, the first 1-star review. Unknown. Oh, and by the way, it was hard to find 3 1-star reviews on this movie. I almost went to just do a 1.5 star, but I found 3 of them.
I found a few, or I saw a few as I was just kind of scrolling down.
They were the only ones. Unknown. Quite possibly the worst and more so. The phoniest movie about punk rocker I have ever seen.
Jonathan G says, very close to a perfect movie. It's unfortunate that Matthew Lillard will be remembered as Shaggy from Scooby-Doo movies when this movie is his magnum opus and his performance is utterly spellbinding. Okay, Jonathan, I guess you like to suck that dick, because I don't know if it's worth all that kind of praise. It might be the greatest performance he's ever had, though. That's true. Yeah. James L says, imagine being trapped in a room with the most annoying person of all time. That's how I felt watching the endless annoying exposition of this movie. Matthew Lillard gives the most cringe performance of all time as Steve-O. So lame. While the side characters are actually much more entertaining. That had more to it, but it was so long I just cut it out. I mean, I like your version of that review a lot more than whatever they had. They're just like, it's not cringeworthy, but yeah, the side characters were more interesting. But I think that's the point of the side characters. You dive into them. Oh yeah, like the German dude. Yeah, the German dude. I love that guy. That guy is. You could buy a fucking car with that. Yeah, you just buy shit just to show it off. TZ with the final 5-star. Is this a 5-star movie? No. But it deserves a better rating than it gets, so I'm fudging it a little. It's about a 3.5, maybe 4-star movie. Very entertaining, fast-paced, and funny for the most part. Worth it for the performances alone. I still quote Mark the German to this day. SLC Punk 2 was a little disappointing, but this one is well worth your time. One of the top 10 punk movies, and just a good movie on its own right. So, if you're listening to us right now, please, what are the top 10 punk movies of all time? Or just list us 10 punk movies. Drop it below. Because I don't know them. I don't know what a Gleam in the Cube maybe was a punk movie. I'm not sure. Would you consider the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon movie a punk movie because they had a lot of punk skaters? I can't think of a punk movie, period, that's like this. Yeah. I didn't know punks just went out there and fought people. So, okay, the last 1-star review. It's unknown. I don't get why this is such a cult classic. It was stupid, completely stupid,
Only the druggy losers that waste their lives away like this movie. Go get a job, you pathetic losers. I guess I'm not going to give it 4 trees.
Was the furthest review, was a 5-star, came from July 16th, 2007. A brilliant dark comedy about the soul of punk rock. Is that right? The punk rock? No, that's not that.
I'm not sure. No, that's definitely.
Matthew Lillard gives the performance of his career. Actually, a little bit higher than I expected. The critics went with 62%, while the audience went with an 89% for this indie film from '98.
I'm not criticizing. I am, but is Rotten Tomatoes full of a bunch of your generation people? Because Goon got like 90, and this got 89. These are not terrible movies, but I don't think
Goon's a wonderful. Goon's an amazing movie.
I don't think they're the upper echelon of movies, but the audience of Rotten Tomatoes seem to think so. So I'm just wondering.
Well, let's go ahead and give our final review of this movie. It didn't quite hold up to the nostalgia piece that I felt that it would. I hope that it would. Still enjoyed the movie greatly. I might be very picky on who I would recommend this movie to see. Would I recommend it? Possibly to the right audience, to the right person, not to everybody. Probably not my surgeon. I enjoyed Matthew Lillard. I loved Heroin Bob. I loved the transition and how the relationship between him and his father, and even the one dig was like, well, you couldn't make it work with my mother. Like when they're in the Porsche, and he's Jew, and he bought from Volkswagen, which was Hitler's, like that whole aspect. I give this movie 2 trees and a stump.
That's fair. I didn't like the narration. I thought Lillard played Lillard, but I think he did a great job of that. There was enough good scenes to pull this out of the 1 stump thing where I was putting it the first 2 minutes. And I'd recommend it to an anarchist so they can see how silly they really are. But I am going to agree with you. It went from a stump to 2 trees and 1 stump for me too.
Well, there you have it. The very rare and seldom match from Jason and I. We hope you enjoyed this review of SLC Punk. Drop a like, a comment. If you haven't subscribed, please, why haven't you subscribed already? We appreciate you all. Tune in next time, same channel, 7 a.m. Eastern, here at Treason Space 1. I've been Nate. That's been Jason. Take care, everybody. What?